My first night in prison was worse than any movie. Nothing prepares you for your first night in prison. Not movies, not stories, not warnings. Because the real fear doesn't start when you're sentenced. It starts when the door closes behind you. I thought prison would be loud, shouting, fights, chaos. I was wrong. The first night taught me one thing I never forgot. Silence is the most dangerous part. The door didn't slam. It locked slowly, heavy, final. That sound told me everything I needed to know. I wasn't passing through. I wasn't visiting. I was staying. I stood there holding a thin mattress and a small bag that wasn't really mine anymore. My name didn't matter. My past didn't matter. What I did outside didn't matter. Inside that place, I was just another body. The lights stayed on, bright, cold, unforgiving. No shadows, nowhere to hide. Every sound felt louder because no one was speaking. Footsteps far down the corridor, metal clinking somewhere I couldn't see, a cough behind a wall that felt way too close. The smell of disinfectant mixed with something metallic burned my nose. The walls were too white, too sterile, yet the air felt heavy. And then, nothing. That silence wasn't calm, it wasn't peaceful. It felt alive, like it was watching me. I sat on the bed slowly, careful not to make noise. Not because someone told me to, because instinct told me to. In prison, the first night isn't about surviving violence, it's about surviving attention. Attention is currency in prison, and you don't want to be worth anything your first night. I kept my eyes forward, didn't look around, didn't ask questions. Questions make you visible. Visibility makes you interesting, and being interesting in prison is never a good thing. 2 cells down, I heard voices, low, calm, controlled. One was asking another about a card game, or maybe a plan. I couldn't tell. The words didn't matter, the rhythm did. Every inflection, every pause, every laugh measured. It was a warning disguised as normal conversation. I realized quickly, everyone here is watching. The quietest movements are noticed first. Every blink, every cough, every glance. A man in the corner of the common area shifted on his bed, slow, deliberate. He didn't look at me. He didn't need to. I felt his eyes before I even saw him. The way he moved, the way he adjusted his blanket, it said, "I know you're new." Another inmate laughed softly. It echoed in the hallway. It wasn't humor, it was evaluation, like he was reading the room, reading me. Then I heard a low voice, sharp. "Hey, you, new guy, you got a name?" I froze. I didn't answer. Silence. A pause that felt like hours. Then another voice, quieter. "Don't talk unless you're spoken to. Lesson 1. I nodded slightly, not wanting to make a sound. Not because it was asked, because it was life. One of them walked past my cell, steps measured, heavy boots on concrete. No glance, no greeting, nothing. And yet I felt judged, categorized, assigned a value silently, without words. I sat, pretending to read, pretending to adjust my bag. Everything is pretending. Pretending is survival. Pretending is camouflage. I listened to breathing, mine slow and shallow, others controlled, deliberate. Some were snoring softly, some whispered to each other, some remained absolutely still. Time stopped working the way it does outside. Minutes stretched, seconds dragged. Each tick of the clock felt like a countdown. I tried to sleep. Your body is exhausted, but your mind refuses to shut down. Every small sound feels like a warning. Somewhere far away, metal scraped against metal, sharp, sudden. My heart jumped. Then a voice shouted, angry, brief, and just as fast as it started, it stopped. Silence came back instantly. That scared me more than the noise, because it felt controlled, like the prison was reminding everyone who was in charge. I stared at the ceiling, counting nothing, thinking about everything. I replayed every decision that brought me here, hoping it would help. It didn't. Prison doesn't care how you got there, only how you behave now. I realized something important that night. Nobody explains the rules to you. You're expected to feel them. You learn by watching, by listening, by staying quiet. One wrong look, one wrong question, one wrong reaction, and you're noticed. I watched a man across the hall interact with someone new. Slow nods, soft words, then a sudden glare, an invisible line drawn. I understood the hierarchy without it being explained. Everything here is learned by observation. Another inmate stretched and yawned. His arm brushed the table. No one reacted. It was a test. Every movement is a test. Fail, and you are remembered. Then a whisper. "Do you think you'll last here?" I swallowed. No answer. The silence was the answer. It was better that way. At some point, someone laughed, soft, controlled. It bounced off the walls, traveled the empty corridor. It wasn't humor. It was confidence, comfort, home. That's when it hit me. The scariest people in prison aren't loud. They don't threaten. They don't need to. They're already home. I pulled the thin blanket up and pretended to sleep. Not because I was tired, because pretending was safer than doing nothing. Everyone pretends their first night. You pretend you're asleep. You pretend you're calm. You pretend you belong. I listened to breathing, mine slow and shallow. Other cells, distant but alive, filled with hidden movements. A mattress squeaked. Someone whispered a name. Or maybe it was my imagination. Every sound meant something. Everything was a signal. Morning finally came without any announcement. No alarm, no relief. Just the same light, the same walls, the same silence, slightly thinner now. Nothing had happened. No fight, no punishment, no violence. And that's when I understood the truth. Prison doesn't break you with violence first. It breaks you by making you wait for it. That first night didn't hurt my body. It changed my mind. And once that happens, everything else becomes easier for the prison. I stayed still, watching the light shift, watching shadows that weren't there, listening for sounds that might not exist, observing every movement. And I realized surviving the first night isn't about strength. It's about patience and silence and understanding fear that doesn't make a sound.